start to help you guys get a win. What was behind that? What changed there?
You know what? We came out, we talked about it all week. It was one of the things that we made as a goal for us was to score early in the game. You know, it wasn't a we have to score on the first drive type of deal. Obviously, after we talked with you guys last week, that was important to try and make sure we scored on the first drive. But no, our guys came out, we locked in. The defense got a turnover early, which puts us in great field position, made a couple plays right there and got the ball in the end zone and actually scored touchdowns on our first two drives. So very excited about that. We still had some penalties later in that half. It kept, killed us on some drives that we're still, kind of working through right there. And then would have liked to have got a few more points on the board in the second half, but, very happy with how everything turned out.
Yeah, as you evaluate that, obviously didn't score in the last 44 minutes or whatever. What did you see behind that? Like, what did you see kind of held you back?
Well, I mean, we got ahead on a team that and with the way our defense was playing, I'm not saying we got conservative, but we definitely felt like we were running the ball well, felt like we were in a good situation up 14-0 and didn't want to do anything to put the game in jeopardy right there. But had two drives that we had penalties that put us in the long yardage situations. And we're not equipped right now to bounce back from those 1st and 20 type of situations. So got to do better job with those penalties right there, but still had our opportunities in the second half and would have liked to have gotten at least 3, if not 7 points on the board there.
Tony, your offensive line seems to be pass protecting much better here recently. You seem to have settled in on your top 5. Is that cohesiveness that you're seeing up front, or what's behind kind of their improved, especially in the pass pro?
You know what? I think offensive linemen are a lot like quarterbacks. They get better every time they go out on the field. Those guys are starting to play together. They're staying healthy, knock on wood. And they're doing a good job. We had one pass protection issue on a 3rd down that we got sacked on that we maybe could have got the ball off, but definitely need to do a better job there on that defensive end. But, they're getting better every week. Offensive linemen are just like quarterbacks. Every time you get another play, another rep in our offense, they're getting better out there and fired up where they're at right now.
Thanks, Tony.
Hey, Tony, I guess the last 2 weeks, you guys have had a couple drives pinned pretty deep into, back up against the goal line. Generally, what's your philosophy there to try to get out of that? I mean, is it live to fight another day? I guess, how do you approach kind of how aggressive and how not aggressive to be?
Well, I mean, your first goal is to get the ball at least to the 5-yard line. So your punt team can function if they have to. And then your next goal is just about everywhere I've been is you're trying to get a couple first downs. Because if you can get 2 first downs and then punt the football, especially when you have a punter like we do, you can usually flip the field. So we haven't, we've had 3 situations in the last 2 games where we haven't gotten those 2 first downs. And we got to keep grinding right there. We haven't put our punter in a situation where he's been on like the 2-yard line, which is good. But your first goal is to get it at least to the 5, and your next one is to try and get a couple first downs. That way, when you punt the football, you got a chance to flip the field.
Can I just ask what Michael Marquez, we've seen him in kind of that fullback, H-back role and catching a few passes he did against Minnesota. What would he give you? What's his evolution been into that role there?
Well, we'd like to be able to line up with a guy in that kind of fullback position a little bit. He's in the tight end room, which marries right up with that position. They're doing exactly the same thing. So everything he's learning there, he can learn from that position. And we're trying to find a spot for him to get him in there for a few reps. The more people we can get out on the field to help us win, the better off we're going to be. Mike's done a great job in practice, and he's earned those reps out there.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony, the Wildcat pack single wing package with Isaiah that was utilized on Saturday, what you like about that package and how has it kind of progressed as the season has gone on? And then a follow-up obviously is, what does that do for Brandon when he's able to go to the sideline and maybe take a breather, see the field from a different perspective, and then come back out and run a play?
Well, first of all, if anything we can do out there to get more first downs and score more points, we're going to try and do. Putting Isaiah in the backfield, I think is something that we can do that helps us. A couple of those, maybe he could have pulled those and kept it and might have had a chance for some plays right there. But he's done it a lot playing quarterback here last year. Those type of plays are very similar to a lot of stuff that he was doing before. So it's very natural for him. And it gives us an opportunity to give the defense one more thing they've got to work on. Plus it gets the ball in his hands a little bit more. As far as BP, I mean, he's played 2 back-to-back, knock on wood, solid football games, hasn't put the ball in danger. It's not that we need to get him off the field so he can go over and take a breather, but that is an opportunity. He goes over and doesn't have to be out there processing on that play, but he's played well the last 2 weeks.
Thanks, Tony.
Yep.
Hi, Coach. I assume during the bye week, coaches will be out on the recruiting trail. without going into too many specifics, I know you can't, but what's kind of the focus for the offensive staff and for yourself recruiting wise this week?
Well, recruiting wise, when we do go out, we're always trying to see as many of the committed kids as we have, but also some more of the any 23 high school kids, and then you get into the 23 class or the 22, and then the 23 class right there. And then you're always got your ears open for what's going on out there in this portal transfer world. So there's a lot of different kind of recruiting that's always going on. It changes all the time, but our priority is always going to be the in-state guys first, and it's going to be that 2022 and then 23 class when we're going out.
If from an offensive standpoint, I don't know if you'd want to answer this or not, but is there more that you want to get done before the December signing period, or are you looking more at the 23 and 24 kids?
As far as what? I don't understand.
When you go out this week, are you still looking for more help in the 22 class on the offensive side of the ball, or are you focusing on future classes?
Well, it's kind of a little bit of both. It depends on where we're at, who we haven't seen, who we've seen so far. Have we went and watched this kid play, or was somebody in this high school, or happened to see them that they can't go? And we're trying to get as many of them knocked out as we can with 2 open weeks right there, trying to get as many of our coaches in position offensively with the guys we've got committed and the guys we're still recruiting.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, I'm curious of the, there's only 9 turnovers in 10 games this year. That's probably less than half than the average over the last 5-6 seasons. Is that in the scheme? Is that, we really, really preach taking care of the ball, or don't throw that there, or anything like that? Or, what about turnovers?
Well, it all starts with the head coach, and Coach B believes in exactly what I do, and that's ball security. The ball is our program. We speak about it all the time, and we spend a lot of time on ball security. And knock on wood, we've had a really good year as far as turnovers right there. It goes into everybody that has the ball in their hands on how they carry it. It goes into our offensive line on how they're blocking on certain plays to protect ball carriers. And then it goes into quarterbacks making great decisions with the football and not putting the ball in danger. And we've done a pretty good job of all those this year. And that's why our turnovers are so low. And we've got to keep thinking that way, because we've had some tight, close ball games, some that come out our way, some that haven't, but we wouldn't be in those games had we had 2 or 3 turnovers in those games. So we just got to keep rolling on that. We're happy with where we're at in that, and we want to keep that to a 0 every game. That's always our goal. But holding on to the football and what the quarterbacks do as far as decisions is always at the top of our priorities, is what we're doing.
So then, say with Brandon, since you're coaching the quarterbacks, and there's probably a line between don't make that throw or you're being too conservative. We got to get some yards here. You can't tuck everything. How do you teach that balance?
Well, I think it's, if you see it, throw it. If you feel good about it and you see it, then throw it. And I'm always aggressive there with Brandon. But there's also the flip side of that is I can't throw something into something I don't see. Or I've got an issue, it's a little cloudy right here. If I'm going to have doubt right there, I'm going to take care of the football. But if you see it and you feel like you can take that throw and you can make it, then go after it right there. It might not always be right, but I like him being aggressive, but also at the same time, he's got to make sure that he's thinking about taking care of the football. So it's kind of a fine line right there.
Thanks.
Hey, Tony, I've got 1 or 2 more here. As far as Brandon, he is playing well these last few weeks. What do you notice out of him when it's clicking with him, just maybe from how he carries himself? And then kind of a second is, do you work with him on sliding a little more safely than some of those dives?
You know what? He naturally just kind of goes head first. If that spend a little bit more time, I don't know if it has to do with the turf or just what he's done in the past. That's kind of how he protects himself. And he's done okay with that. There's times where sliding's not always the greatest either. So it's kind of a coin flip. You got to do what you can to take care of yourself, especially when we're not on a down and distance where he has to get it, or he's already gotten the first down. So we got to make sure he takes care of himself there. But the flip side of that is Brandon's played really well the last 2 weeks. He's got confidence out there. He feels comfortable. You can just tell the way he's moving around that everything feels right now, and he's making good decisions. He's throwing the ball well, and he's taking care of the football. So very happy with how he's playing the last 2 weeks.
Thanks, Tony.
Hey, Tony, I had just one more. Knowing you guys are going to try and lift up the roster and add competition in every area, your position specifically has as much turnover as any, just because there's only one that can play. As you go out, like, what do you look for in transfers, specifically at at your position that is so important as you guys try to build up that room?
Well, hopefully you get to a point to where you're not really looking at the transfers for the quarterback position and you're building that room up from young to old. And that's the way you want it to be. If you are looking at transfers, you're looking at guys that throw the ball accurately, have a natural arm talent, are confident, have played on an offense where they've actually been in and played in quite a few games, and you can see how they function out there. And then you're looking at character, leadership, a winner, the guy you want to be leading your football team. So there's a lot more that goes into quarterback than just throwing the football, and you got to put a lot of time into it to make sure you get the right guy.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Okay. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Tony.
You too.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, how you guys doing?
Good, Ryan. Hope you're well, man. I want to ask you about your safety play. Kirby Joseph and Sidney Brown seem to be playing really, really good football for you. So how did they kind of settle into your two guys back there and specifically into those free safety and strong safety roles you got them in?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that they've done is just the amount of communication that takes place to break tendencies, to how they're rotating depending on what the coverage is, depending on what the formation is, how they're adjusting emotions and things like that. They're in constant communication during the film session, and it translates to the practice field, and so they're really clean, and they break a lot of tendencies on game day. And I'll be honest, there'll be times if I don't have the call on the bottom of the screen, pre-snap when I'm watching the tape, I can't tell what they're in either, because it all looks the same. That's just a testament to them really honing in on the details of what looks we're trying to present to the offense, and then them executing it and doing so at a high level right now.
You guys have really cut down on big pass plays with Kirby back there, and Sidney just seems like he's roaming around everywhere. Like, what kind of dynamic do they give you at that group, and how have they impacted your defense during this great stretch?
Yeah, obviously we're doing our best as a staff to try to put them in situations that cater to their strengths. Kirby is a guy with tremendous ball skills. He's got great range. So you want him to be the overlap piece as much as possible. Sidney is fast, he's compact, he's physical. So you want him in those situations as much as possible as well. And so as long as those things marry up with the looks we're trying to present from a schematic standpoint, then it bodes well. And I think that aspect of what we're doing defensively is really allowed them to flourish and be confident in how they're playing because of what they're asked to do.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Ryan, you mentioned a couple of weeks ago about how being with Coach B made you appreciate second down a lot more than you had in your career. I think 4 or 5 of your 6 sacks on Saturday came on second down. Is there a chain effect to winning first down and allowing yourself to have those opportunities on second down that has allowed you guys to have so much success?
Yeah, I think like I said earlier, Coach B's emphasis on second down, it allows you to find tendencies, right? And so if you're successful on first down and are getting into some, hold on, you just got a little pop up. And you're getting into some second and longers, some teams have, especially if they're in a second longer on a certain area of the field, in a certain personnel group, you can kind of get an educated guess on what you're going to see, and that dictates what you call. So I think that's why we were advantageous on some of those second downs, because of the situations that Minnesota was in that they had shown previously, throughout the course of the season.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Hey, Coach, another opportunity during a bye week to do some recruiting for yourself and the defensive staff. Can you just talk to what the focus is going to be this week, recruiting wise?
Yeah, we're gonna get out. Obviously, we're trying to get better here first to finish out the season. We've got two more games to try to reach postseason play. And so, what we're doing right now is focusing on Illinois and what we need to do better from a fundamental standpoint, with sprinkling in some of Iowa's early down offense. But from a recruiting standpoint, we're going to go see some targeted kids that we feel are close, that feel immediate needs, to help us through the spring and in order to fill some holes from guys that will move on and graduate from the program this offseason. So that'll be our focus. And it's very similar to our bye week leading up to Penn State. That formula seemed to work, and so we're sticking to it.
Have you had an opportunity yet to comb through the transfer portal and start, screening that for some kids that might fit for you?
Absolutely. The transfer portal is ever evolving, as you guys know. So you got to stay ahead of the curve. Our recruiting department does a great job of filtering through those things and identifying guys that we need to watch and need to find out more about. So that's a daily response.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Coach, in the player rotations on Saturday, I think it was like Seth Coleman had about 20 snaps. Prather Hudson had around 15. Every other backup was single digits. So it seems like it's gotten more and more starters as we've gone along here. Has that been a schematic thing of, hey, these are our guys and they know our defense? Or, is there a line where maybe, so many snaps and a guy's going to need a breather? How do you determine that?
Yeah, obviously the starters are starters for a reason, right? And so as much as they can play, you allow them to. You have certain packages that get other people involved. You mentioned Prather. His snaps came and when we were in our dime package, on third downs and in some 2-minute situations. And then, my philosophy has always been like, you've got a starter and you have a backup, right? And so at what point does the starter's play get affected to where that backup is going to be better for your team? That might be an injury that causes him not to play as well. It might be, a 13-play drive where he's now tired and his play will not be as high as a fresh backup. And those are all things that each position coach needs to keep an eye on throughout the course of the game. And we're in constant communication, in between series. And during a series, if we get a sub that comes in and we have a chance to sub as well. So that's kind of been our philosophy, like you got a starter, he's taking most of the reps during the course of the week and he's been deemed a starter for a reason. So you try to ride them as long as their play is still elevated, above the guy that's behind them.
So for guys like, I think Kirby played every snap, Spoon played every snap. I think maybe Carney played every snap or close to it. When you're talking about this kind of thing, that's a situation where their conditioning is there. You want them in there every play, and there's kind of no limit to what they could do in a game like this.
Right. Like, I think Sydney and Kirby, they both played, just speaking in my room specifically, they both played all 72 snaps. And there wasn't ever a time like, they'll look at you and say, hey man, I need a breather. But there was never a time where, I felt like they were tired enough to get out of the game. And they obviously didn't ask to be taken out of the game, especially you got a tight game like that, it's the entire game. So you want your guys to be out there as much as possible.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ryan, I wanted to follow up on Sydney because PJ Fleck kind of likened him to Troy Polamalu. I would assume it's not all because of the hair. This guy does a lot of moving pre-snap. Yeah. What does his skill set allow you to do defensively with either what you can disguise or how you go about things before the snap?
It's not only his skill set, man, it's his intellect. Like he is a very sharp individual. He studies the game. And he's gotten better as the course of the year's gone on. And really he was playing the cat and mouse game with the quarterback all throughout the duration of the game. And so just his wherewithal to know when and where, you know, he can cheat and when he can be aggressive. You know, all of those things are allowing him to play fast. And he's got the skill set to do everything. Like you know, I've been very impressed with him, not only as a young man, but as an athlete. Like he really takes care of his body. You know, he's always doing you know, prehab and recovery. And you know, he's walking around with a beach body all day long. He's ready for summer right now. So you know, he's a special kid. He's wired the right way. He's what you want, especially in the secondary with his mental aptitude at that position.
What kind of trust do you guys have to cultivate, I guess, between yourselves to allow him to play that cat and mouse game? And, you know, you knowing he's not going to make an error and him, you know, knowing that you've got that belief in him.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, you see it throughout the course of the week, and he understands the system, right? So it's not where we were first installing. It's like, okay, you know, here's your alignment, this is your assignment, and then okay, in this call, like here's your alignment, here's your assignment. So now he understands, you know, okay, I need to make these two calls look the same. Here's my responsibilities, and here is how I can disguise which one I'm doing to the quarter, like from the quarterback's perspective of what he's seeing. So, you know, I just think his savviness in that, and really it's throughout the course of the game. Like you get the cadence, you get exactly what the quarterback's looking at. You see how they're trying to attack you throughout the course of the game. So he was really able to hone in on some of the RPOs we were getting, and really was causing the quarterback to hold the ball at times. We were able to get some sacks. Those guys up front getting after the quarterback and really transitioning from, you know, run to pass on those play actions. That those all tie in together. You know what I mean? Our coverage is good because our front is good. Our front is good because our coverage is good. It's a complete team effort in that aspect.
And then if I could get one more, Brett talked on Saturday, I guess, of just how this journey with Isaiah Gay has been. He said there was at times Brett was frustrated, at times Isaiah was frustrated. I guess just how have you observed this season for Isaiah? Where's he grown, and maybe what was some of the source of some of that frustration, do you think?
You know, I think he has grown the most when he has completely trusted the process, right? You know, Isaiah is as talented a guy as we got on our roster. And when he made the decision to just be mature and trust the process and trust what we were preaching, like he's really started to flourish. I mean, you saw the things that he was able to do on Saturday, you know, and it was just him doing his job, right? Nothing more, nothing less. And then obviously taking advantage of some one-on-one matchups. So couldn't be more happy for him. I know he's worked really hard at it, and he really has embraced, you know, the culture, the program, and what Coach Kane and Coach Bielema has been teaching him. And so, you know, hats off to him for being coachable and buying in, and also hats off to Coach Kane and Coach B for sticking with him and really taking an interest in his growth.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Hey, Ryan, I just wanted to ask you, after a game like that where you were really close to a shutout for the first time at a Big Ten opponent in 20 years, what does that mean for your guys as you try to build this kind of defense?
Man, all we were trying to do is just get a win, man. Like I said, it was it's a 2-possession game. And so, you know, you're on pins and needles until the game is over. You know what I mean? You know, it wasn't until after the game when you find out like how long it's been since you had a shutout. You're like, man, we were one play away from getting that done. But you know, I couldn't be more proud of the way the guys executed on Saturday. I really couldn't be more proud of the staff. You know, I've been saying this has been a collective effort since I got here, and really that 12T personnel that they really like to run the ball out of. You know, Coach Boo sort of took that personnel group in by the reins, and he had came up with some adjustments that fit with what we were doing. You know, not only from a front perspective and a run stopping perspective, but also a way to get out and play soft coverage. So, you know, a lot of those, you know, a lot of the stats that ended up at the end of the game are a direct result of his studies and his implementation of bringing some adjustment. Like I've been saying, we got guys in that room that are capable coordinators. And I feel blessed to be a part of that room and to learn from those guys. And you know, I know obviously like being the face of the defense side of the ball, I get a lot of the public accolades, but those guys do a lot of work behind the scenes, and the way they get their guys to go play and execute on Saturday. You know, what happens Saturday does not get done without the collective totality of the unit.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Ryan, if I could get one more, we've seen this hashtag ID 131. What is that?
Just some we keep in house with what our defense is. You guys, if you do your research, you guys can. I'm sure you can crack the riddle. But it's something the guys have embraced. You know, we got wristbands that say it, and it's what we break down to. It's who we are.
You're really going to send me down this internet rabbit hole to try to figure this out?
You got some extra free. I know if I got some free time on my hands to look it up, I know you got it. It'll take you 5 minutes, I promise.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
If we guess it, will you tell us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think this is the 131st year of
Ding,
Illinois.
ding, 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 ding. Take you 5 minutes. There you go. We are the 131st defense at the University of Illinois, and you know, we came up with basically a creed of what we wanted to be identified as. This dates back to, you know, January when we first got here. It's just something to galvanize, to group us together, and something that, you know, this locker room will be a part of forever.
I'll collect my prize.
I got you. I'll get you your favorite sandwich from whatever sandwich shop you like in town. I'll send you a DoorDash. Just text me your address and they'll come your way. All right, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.